Today is my dad's birthday, and it's also very rainy outside, so I thought what better day to show you how to make my little miniature polymer cakes. Some of the supplies you're going to need are, of course, polymer and some tools. I don't like to use a lot of tools when I make my cakes. I mostly just use my hands, but a few things that are helpful are the little acrylic rolling pin, some of these little shaping tools, they're double-sided, this flat piece of metal, an X-Acto knife, and a pin or a toothpick. The first thing you want to do is think about what kind of cake you want to make and then pick out your colors. So I'm going to start with some chocolate. Always make sure your hands are really super clean before you start making anything out of polymer clay, because absolutely everything sticks to it. So if you touch your jeans, guess what's going to get into your polymer clay? Denim. And like all kinds of little hairs and things will stick. So make sure your hands are clean. And dry them with a paper towel, not a regular towel, because you'll just put little fibers right back on your hands. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off a piece of chocolate colored polymer clay. So got my little lump of clay. Just gonna pinch it in half, just eyeball it, and then roll it out into a ball. Just like that. And then using the palm of your hand, make sure you've got this is a plastic placemat that I found at Target for $3 or so, and it's been really great for crafting countertop for cutting, and that way I don't move my nice wood table here. And also nothing sticks to it, so that's why I like it. So now that I've pressed this down on both sides, I have a little disc. And just to make it even, I'm going to roll it like it's a wheel across my surface here and get those edges nice and flat. Press it down again until you get it the right thickness, and just sort of continue doing this until it's about the right size and shape that you want it. So now I'm going to make the layer that goes in between, which is going to be pink. And I have some pink here, but it's called ballerina pink, so it's a little bit lighter than what I think a cherry filling would look like. So I'm mixing this really beautiful red, which I think is just called red, and some white. All you do to mix polymer clay is squish it together until it blends completely. I've gone ahead and sandwiched my pink layer in between my two chocolate layers, and I made the pink layer the same way that I made the chocolate layers, just only on a thinner scale. And instead of rolling it like this, I just pinched it between my fingers and made it nice and round. And now to get it sort of seamlessly in between without it looking sort of like a little block, I'm going to roll it like this. Okay, so I moved the camera a little closer because now we're getting into more of the detail work, and I've decided I'm going to do something a little different on the top of the cake, where I'm going to make another cherry cream layer with some marbleized chocolate stripes running through it, and then run cherries around the border. So what I've done is I've taken some leftover clay from when I made my middle cherry layer, and I flattened it out as thin as I can, and made it into as close of a circle as I can. And I've got that laying out there, and I'm going to take some more of this chocolate, and I'm just going to pinch off a little bit because I do not need much at all. And I'm going to make a little snake. Okay. That's about as thin as I can make it without it breaking. So now what I'm going to do is cut it into little strips that are slightly longer than the top of my cake that I made. So I've got a few here. I might need to make more. And then I am laying them in a stripe right on top of my disc. thin as you can get them, really. Okay. So now they're on there, and they're all just sort of laying on top. So now I'm going to go ahead and mush them down, keeping them as straight as possible. I could use a roller for this, but just as soon use my finger. This is a good tool for lifting. Sometimes if you try to lift up shape, it'll just warp. Do it again. So, I'm just going to press this in here a little better. And take my X-Acto knife and trim these little chocolate pieces right off. Don't want hair on the cake. I'm going to take my pin and just press it right into the clay and drag these straight down. Okay, so now that I've got the top of my cake on there the way that I want it, I've gone ahead and rolled a whole bunch of little tiny red balls out, which are going to be my cherries. So I'm going to go ahead and run these cherries all around the top, just like that. Okay, so what I'm doing now is making more icing for the top and the bottom of the cake, just to give it a little extra something. So I like lots of icing on my cakes. So I rolled out a little snake using that ballerina pink from earlier, plus a little bit more of, just a tiny touch more red. And I rolled it not as thin as we used at the top, but pretty thin, because I'm going to flatten this out. And I'm not going to press very hard. I'm just going to, literally just let the weight that is on this roller roll this flat. And not much more than that. And to make a pipe of icing, all I do is just very gently twist. I'm just going to pinch it off with my thumbnail here. Wrap it all the way around. Just make sure it's even. And then where they meet, I'll cut. And now what I'm going to do is give the actual cake some texture. And there's a lot of ways you can do this, and I think the ideal way is to actually mix semolina or poppy seeds, or sometimes I use nutmeg even, right into the cake, and that gives it texture and makes it look really real. But this time I've just decided to use a toothbrush, and I'm just going to go around and press the toothbrush bristles. These are very, very stiff. I've been using this little girl here for quite a while, and it's just a really cheap children's toothbrush. They're perfect for, painting and this kind of texturizing. And I'm just gonna go around and make little dots. And I'm trying not to get on the middle layer of icing here, but if I do, that's okay, because it's very easy to smooth out. So when your cake looks exactly how you want it to look, go ahead and turn your oven on to 275 degrees, and with your cake on a pan lined with parchment paper, let it bake for 10 to 15 minutes. And when that's done, take it out of the oven and take it off of the pan and let it cool completely, and then we can do the last step of this process when we all finished. So my cake is all baked and cooled, and it actually looks pretty cute. I added a little top for the cherry here in the center, a little green stem. And now I'm going to use some Sculpey Glaze Glossy, and I'm going to paint the icing parts of this and anything else that I think I want to be shiny, which includes my cherries. I just glued a really strong magnet under the back, and it is ready to be hung up wherever you like. To purchase this cake or others like it, please visit my shop at pliabletrade.etsy.com.